Hi, it's Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. So, I want to tell you about a personal challenge I've been having lately and what I'm doing to overcome it, because I think it might be relevant for a lot of you who like me, have trauma disorders and other brain chemical things going on that get our fear responses into weird places. So, I went down to Carruthers Park in Portland and participated in the Union March where the peaceful crowd was gassed. That was about a week ago, and a little over a week ago. And what happened to me because of my post-traumatic stress disorder, because of my mental health condition from the childhood abuse that I suffered, my brain does not always shut off fight-flight responses correctly and when it should. So what my experience is I went down to the protest. It was a surreal experience when the tear gas came at us. I felt the tear gas in my lungs and like was in the crowd that was like, make way for children as they got out. One of my friends and lovers who was with me commented that I seemed like I was not processing all my emotions, that I wasn't all emotionally there. And they were totally right. I had tripped into my best coping mechanism, which is hypervigilance. I can do it. Do more. Do it. Do more action. And we do need more action right now. And frankly, my community also was fired up for more action. So following that, I found myself day after day after day drawn to the issues, drawn to the news, drawn to the to what's going on. And unlike some of the others in my community, some of the others who don't have my mental health challenges, that was fine and that was really good, and they need that because we do need to light a fire under our collective asses and actually do stuff now and figure out how we can do it. But for me, what happened, there were other factors involved too. I pushed myself a little hard with some kink play. My spouse, who is my rock, is out of town. Things like that just like, I wasn't able to cycle through the shutting down process for my flight, flight, freeze response, and wasn't fully aware that it was still on until late Friday night when I was done with work, when I had no more responsibilities. The kids were fed and tucked into bed, and it was just me. My spouse was happy and safe. I had friends who had reached out. And so when that finally did flip off, I fainted. Just like was crazy thirsty for sugar, and then came upstairs and before I dropped the glass, shattered the glass, fell to my knees and then fell to the ground, fainted. That was a wake-up call for me. This is a symptom I've had before, but it's been many years. It's been several years since I've had that because my PTSD is generally very well managed. And I know I've had it happen to me enough, like about 4 or 5 times in my life, where I know what it is. I know it's not a heart attack. I know it's not a blood sugar issue. I've got all those things well managed. So, that's obviously the first thing that one should check when something like that happens. But for me, it was that I didn't realize that my system was being propped up by all of those chemicals that were saying, go, 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 do. So obviously this is a red flag for me. Obviously this is a big concern because it means that I am not adequately taking care of myself. And, ahead of every video, blog post, website that tells you what to do, should have a big red banner on the top that says, take care of yourself first. Because if you don't do that, you don't have any spoons to give to other people. So, certainly, don't make yourself feel safe, let yourself get a little uncomfortable, but you got to make sure that you on a basic level know that you're not going to end up terrified. And especially when you're someone like me with an underlying trauma disorder, you have to, safety is super important to me because if I don't have that, then I can't function for long periods of time. My body just won't, my brain just won't. So what I'm doing about this, how I am addressing this, because I do want to fight more and I think it's important and I feel like we really have to hold the line against our friends and neighbors being kidnapped and deported and killed. This is important stuff. So how do we do that? For me, I'm doing a few key things. One, I'm pulsing my intake of information. So I am no longer just clicking on the post when it comes in. As a matter of fact, if I find myself unable to let things sit for 24 hours before looking, then that's a flag for me that I just need to go cold turkey for a while and not intake any more new scary information. I am also doing practice, affirmations and just reinforcement practice around things that are safe. I'm a victim of childhood sexual assault. I know the world is dangerous. I grew up in a family that was totally scary. So the whole notion that the world is falling apart and that there are like bad guys out there, I mean, it's not at all a surprise to me that racism exists, that people can be kidnapped, that the government can operate with impunity. I mean, this has been going on forever. But I have worked really hard to carve out safety for myself from a dangerous childhood into my adulthood. And so reminding myself of those systems of safety, reminding myself that I am safe enough to do this. I am safe enough to be out and proud. And that is because I have built that foundation of safety for myself and that community for myself. Myself and my spouse have really done it together to create our foundation of security. And so I'm sure that you've all done this in different ways. There are things that you have done, choices you have made to put yourself in a place or to continually re-up yourself into a place of security and safety where you can get by, where you feel secure. So reminding yourself of those things is very important. I also think it's really important to remind yourself of the historical perspective here, and that my life is better than my mother's life or my grandmother's life or my great-grandmother's life by a long shot, by a long way. I mean, I'm in an openly queer family. My spouse is transgender. I am bisexual. We are poly, and we are open. Now, there are times when that doesn't feel like the most secure thing, but it's a hell of a lot farther than a lot of people have gotten throughout history. Certainly a ton more freedom. I'm the breadwinner of my family. Like, I am a professional career woman. These are things that would not have been possibilities for even my grandmother. So I remind myself of those things. I pulse the intake of information, and I'm also sharing with my support network what's going on with my brain, what's going on with my particular psychology, and how they can, just so that they're aware that, like, if they post something and I don't respond right away, it's not that I disagree. It's not that I'm not in the fight. It's that I need to do self-care first. I need to take care of my medical needs first. It's very important that you recognize your psychological needs as medical needs. In the same way that, like, if you had a big old gash on your arm, you wouldn't be like volunteering to go dig through mucky garbage. Like, I have a trauma disorder, and that means that I have to think about what is safe for me to do in any particular moment based on how raw my wounds are. So thinking about it that way really, really helps. Another thing I'm doing is trying to remind myself of good news stories, but also, you know what? I can fight. I can do little things. And doing those things at times when it feels good is something I praise myself for. But then it's equally important to give myself like support and understanding and reassurance when I can't do it. When it's just not working for me. And you know what, this is one of those, like, to go forward, you got to go back situations, to go left, you got to go right. To do more, you have to give yourself permission to be okay not doing as much. So, if you're finding yourself paralyzed by the fear, and they're trying to control us with fear, that is this whole system, like, people are best manipulated when they are afraid, and the system is using that. But the way to break through that is not to just say, oh, I'm afraid, so I'm going to push. No, the way to break through that is to acknowledge that's true and give yourself permission to be afraid. Give yourself permission to feel the fear, and to do less when you feel the fear. But that's how we gain that lived experience, that brain power experience, that, like, oh, okay, I'm safe. And when we feel safe, we can do more. So, I mean, I'm not a professional. I don't know anything. This is just me and my life experiences and what I've learned. But I hope it's helpful for you, because it's hard. It's hard to live in this world whenever you live in it, but especially, in this particular part of the technological revolution. It's a tricky place to be. As we can see from similar parallels in history, like, World War II, World War I, the Industrial Revolution, like, there are, it's not easy. It's not easy being a human. But with a little compassion and a little bit of care and showing up for each other, building communities of support, one person at a time, we can save the world, we can change the world, we can continue to move that needle forward so that my daughter's life is better than my life, so that my granddaughter's life is better than my life, so that my great-granddaughter's life is better than my life. That's what we need to do. That's what I want to do. And that all starts with self-care first, and strength in vulnerability, strength in acknowledging weakness. So hope you find that helpful. Thank you very much for listening. This is Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Have a great day.